Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be taking a deep dive into Gretchen Rubin's The Happiness Project.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, so in this book, she basically spends a whole year just experimenting with different ways to boost her happiness. And what we want to do today is try to pull out some of those key insights, and give our listeners some stuff that they can actually use to
Yeah.
boost their own happiness, starting like today.
Yeah. I love that idea. And you know what's so relatable about this book is that she wasn't, starting out miserable or anything.
Great.
She had a good life,
Yeah.
pretty happy, but she was like, I think I could be even happier.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be more, joy and fulfillment that I could be squeezing out of every single day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Totally.
Where it's not that you're unhappy, but it's just like, how can I just get more out of life?
Absolutely. And the thing I love about Rubin's approach is it's not about making these huge drastic changes.
No.
It's really about those small tweaks and adjustments that can make a big difference in your overall well-being.
Yeah, and it's not so overwhelming because the way she does it, she kind of breaks it down month by month.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. She has a different theme for each month and,
Mhm.
it just makes it feel more manageable and organized.
Yeah, and it's like a fun little challenge each month.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in February.
Oh, yeah. February's a great one.
It's all about remembering love.
Uh,
So it's focusing on your relationships being more present with loved ones.
yeah, and she even she's really great about weaving in research and personal anecdotes.
Yes.
So in that month, she talks about these scientific studies that show how expressing love and appreciation can actually boost happiness levels,
Oh, wow.
like for both the giver and the receiver.
That's amazing.
It is. And then she'll share these really heartwarming stories about how she's applying these principles in her own life
I love that.
with her husband, her kids, her friends,
It makes it so much more real.
right?
Right.
It's not just some, theory. It's like she's lived it.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the book so compelling is that it's this like perfect blend of research and personal stories.
Absolutely. It makes
Yeah.
it so relatable.
Yeah, and it makes it feel like, hey, this is something I can actually do.
Exactly.
It's not just like some, guru up on a mountaintop telling you how to be happy.
Right.
It's like a real person who's gone through the process and is sharing what worked for her.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that she doesn't shy away from, the struggles.
Yes.
Like there were times when she, didn't quite meet her goals or she slipped up or she felt frustrated, and she talks about that.
Right.
And she uses those experiences as learning opportunities. And I
Yeah.
think that's really valuable for the reader because it's like, okay, this isn't about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about progress.
And self-compassion.
Yes, exactly.
Like giving yourself permission to be human.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important because it takes the pressure off. It's not about being perfect. It's about being better than you were yesterday.
I love that.
So speaking of making progress, I'm really curious about some of the key takeaways from the book.
Yeah, let's dive into those.
What really stood out to me was her emphasis on starting small and being specific with your goals.
Yes, that is such a good point. It's so much less daunting when you focus on making one small change at a time
Right.
instead of trying to overhaul your entire life.
Right. It's baby steps.
Baby steps, exactly. And she actually has this great little rule. She calls it the 1-minute rule.
The 1-minute rule, tell me more about that.
Okay, so it's super simple, but really effective.
Okay.
So if there's something you can do in under a minute, like, put away your shoes or make your bed or wash a few dishes,
Right.
just do it right away.
Don't even think about it. Just do it.
Exactly. And it's amazing how these tiny little actions, they just kind of create this sense of order and accomplishment.
Right.
And that can actually have a ripple effect on your mood.
Yeah, it's like momentum. It's like once you start doing these little things, it just kind of builds on itself.
Totally. And then you're like, oh, I feel good I did that.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to try that 1-minute rule.
You should. I think you'll like it.
Okay, so another key takeaway that really resonated with me was this idea of focusing on what truly matters to you.
Yes. Love that one.
Like, it's not about trying to fit into someone else's mold of happiness,
Right.
It's about figuring out what brings you joy.
Absolutely. It's about crafting a happiness project that's unique to you,
Yes.
that aligns with your values, your interests, what you define as a fulfilling life,
Yes.
not what society tells you should make you happy.
So how do you do that? How do you figure out what truly matters to you?
That's a great question. And Rubin suggests using a tool she calls a happiness tracker.
Ooh, I like that. What is that?
Okay, so basically it's just a way to kind of track your moods, your activities, any insights you gain throughout the process.
Okay.
It can be as simple as like jotting down some notes in a notebook or using an app. The key is to create a system that helps you become more aware of your own happiness patterns,
Okay.
and you know what's working for you.
So it's like self-awareness through tracking.
Exactly.
I love that.
And you know what? I'm a big believer in tracking progress in general,
Me too.
whether it's for fitness goals or work projects or even something like a happiness project.
It keeps you accountable.
It does. It helps you stay focused,
Yeah.
stay motivated.
Yeah, and it's so rewarding to look back and see how far you've come.
It is. It's like, oh, wow, I've actually made some progress.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of staying motivated, another important theme that Rubin explores is this idea of gratitude
Yes, gratitude is huge.
and present moment focus.
Such a powerful combination. It's like so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, worrying about the future, dwelling on the past. But Rubin found that when she really focused on the present moment and cultivated this sense of gratitude,
Yeah.
it like really shifted things for her in terms of her happiness levels.
You know, that's so interesting because I've been trying to be more mindful lately.
Okay.
And I have to say, even just small things like really savoring my morning cup of coffee
Yeah.
or, taking a few minutes to just like watch the sunset,
Yeah.
it really does make a difference in my mood.
It's like hitting the pause button on all the mental chatter and just being
Yeah.
present in that moment.
Totally. And it's so simple.
It is. And gratitude is like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't require, any special skills or resources.
Right.
It's just a matter of shifting your perspective to appreciate, the good things in your life,
Huh.
both big and small.
Yeah.
And Rubin actually challenges readers to keep a gratitude journal
Oh, okay.
where they write down a few things they're thankful for each day.
Okay.
It could be anything,
Yeah.
like a delicious meal or a kind gesture from a stranger, or even just like a cozy evening at home.
I love that because it's so easy to take those things for granted.
It really is.
Oh, yeah.
You just kind of go through the motions.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're feeling inspired
Okay.
and they want to start their own happiness project based on Rubin's book.
Love it.
Where would you recommend they start?
Well, the first step is to identify your key areas of focus.
Okay.
Like, what are the things that truly bring you joy?
Yeah.
Is it spending time in nature?
Uh-huh.
Is it nurturing your creative side?
Yeah.
Is it connecting with loved ones?
Right.
Like, take some time to reflect on, what lights you up.
So it's all about figuring out what your personal version of happiness looks like.
Precisely.
Okay. I like that.
And then once you've kind of identified those key areas,
Yeah.
you can start brainstorming, some monthly themes and resolutions just like Rubin did.
Okay.
But remember, start small.
Right.
You don't have to tackle everything at once.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, exactly. Maybe choose one area to focus on for the first month
Okay.
and set a few achievable goals related to that theme.
So, for example, if someone wanted to focus on improving their relationships, what might a realistic resolution look like?
It could be something as simple as making a point to call a friend or family member once a week,
Okay.
or scheduling a regular date night with your partner,
Uh-huh.
or even just, practicing active listening when you're having a conversation.
Those are great examples.
Just small, manageable steps that can make a big difference over time.
I love it. Okay, so how do you stay accountable?
Ooh, good question.
Any tips on how to keep those resolutions from falling by the wayside?
Well, Rubin is a big advocate for tracking your progress.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right.
You can use a notebook, a calendar, even just a note on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to create some kind of visual reminder
Yeah.
of your goals and to check in with yourself regularly to see how you're doing.
I think that visual element is so important,
It is. It really helps you stay focused and motivated.
especially when those inevitable challenges come up.
Right, because they will come up.
Yeah, life happens.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in. It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about learning and growing along the way.
So give yourself a break.
Exactly. And adjust your approach as needed.
I love that perspective. It takes the pressure off.
It does. And it makes the whole process feel so much more sustainable.
Yeah, because it's not about like the sprint to the finish line.
Right.
It's a marathon.
It's a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
And, the goal isn't to achieve some perfect state of happiness and then just coast.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating these habits and practices that support your well-being over the long term.
And those habits and practices can change over time, right?
Absolutely.
What works for you today might not work for you a year from now.
That's a great point. And that's what I love about Rubin's approach.
Yeah.
She encourages readers to experiment, to try different things, and to be constantly refining their own happiness toolkit.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
And what works for you at one stage of your life might need to be adjusted as you grow and change.
It's so freeing, isn't it?
It is.
To think of happiness as like an ongoing experiment,
Yeah.
not a destination.
Right. More like a journey of discovery.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it puts you in the driver's seat.
Yes, and it takes the pressure off.
Natalie.
Like, you don't have to be perfectly happy all the time.
Who is?
Right.
It's about, constantly learning, growing, evolving.
Yeah, and I think Rubin's book gives us such a good framework to do just that.
It's packed with strategies and tips, and it's all stuff that, anyone can use.
Yeah, and adapt to their own life.
Exactly.
I think what's so cool is how she brings in the research,
Yes.
the science behind it.
She doesn't just tell you what to do. She explains the why.
Yeah, like remember when we were talking about the 1-minute rule?
Uh-huh.
It sounds so simple,
Right?
but she actually connects it back to research on habit formation
Oh, yeah.
and the psychology of motivation.
It's that depth that I really appreciate.
Me too. It makes it so much more believable.
Right. It's not just some random advice. It's like, oh, there's actually science to back this up.
Exactly. So it's like she's giving you the map and the compass,
Yeah.
but she's also encouraging you to explore, to
Yes.
find your own way.
It's your journey.
Exactly. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the Happiness Project
Oh.
today,
Okay.
I want to leave you with a little challenge.
I love a good challenge.
Okay, so think about what's one small step
Okay.
that you can take today,
Uh,
inspired by Rubin's book,
okay.
to boost your own happiness.
Ooh.
Maybe it's writing a gratitude list,
Yeah.
calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while,
Uh-huh.
just taking a few minutes to savor a delicious meal.
Or maybe it's putting on some music that makes you happy.
Yes.
Spending some time in nature.
Yes.
Doing something creative.
There are so many possibilities.
There's so many. Just be intentional about finding those little sparks of joy.
Exactly. And remember, this deep dive was just a taste
Just a glimpse.
of what the Happiness Project has to offer. So I highly encourage you to check out the book for yourself.
Yes, do it.
And see what resonates with you.
You might even be inspired to launch your own happiness project.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe a year from now you'll be writing your own book.
That would be amazing.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning.
And keep those happiness projects going.
Bye, everyone.